All right, everybody, thanks for coming out here today. My name's Joe Biggs, and we're going to kick this thing off. I want to talk about some of the things that I experienced while going through the prison system here in the U.S. You know, we had to deal with the FBI, the DOJ, the court systems, and that was only a 4-year process for us, some of us less. But there's men and women that have been in jail for 30 plus years for crimes they didn't commit because judges are lazy, FBI agents are corrupt, and the system is broken. So we've set, I don't know how many people I met that have been sitting in jail for 30-something years for something called ghost dope, and that's just something that's messed up. People having drugs, or not even having drugs on them, and being thrown in jail for it. So, you know, one of the things I want to work on now that I'm out and I'm home is prison reform and helping to get a lot of these individuals back to their families. You know, a lot of us lost our homes, a lot of us lost a lot of things, and I know that pleases some of you, but guess what? We're still going to have good lives and do better things than most of you ever will. That's just being true. So, you know what? Thank you for being here today. I just want to say, you know, get over it. We're here. I don't have much to say today. I just wanted to say that. All I care about are getting the people home that aren't home yet, that should be home to their families. The court system is broke. The FBI is busted. I hope Kash Patel fix it. I hope Donald Trump does what he says he's going to do and pardons us and gets us our military rights back. Outside of that, I want some of these other guys to speak.
I'm Dominic Mazzola. Everybody knows me as the window guy.
Scotty, can you go down?
Oh, him first? Yes. Okay. I was going to talk about what he was just talking about.
So I got a little brief statement I put out here. Let me see if there's a way I can put this up here. Okay. So it's been a long 4 years. Not just because I was, we were in federal prison for that time, but the torment the government put me and everyone through, my family, just to try and win their case. They didn't want us for one. Let's be clear about that. There was no plot to stop the peaceful transfer of power. By us. We were merely there to protest the corrupt election and hoped our congresspeople would investigate the allegations of fraud. They didn't want us though. They wanted President Trump, so they created bogus narratives about us, followed by bogus charges, and all in attempts to remove President Trump from ballots. You've seen this throughout the election season. So I want to move on to, in this country, law enforcement is supposed to investigate a crime first, then arrest second. In our cases, we were arrested first and they created crimes second. Keywords, created crimes. There was, like I said, no seditious conspiracy, none. The government confiscated all our electronics between the 5 of us, and not one message out of 1.5 million messages that were retrieved mentioned any plan or about anything going to the Capitol that day. So the fact that the government still moved forward with this plot against us was nothing short of egregious, and in turn was a malicious prosecution. When there's a malicious prosecution, excuse me. If you could, yeah, please. Thank you.
Historic moment. Cowboys dressing.
Okay. You have prosecutorial misconduct, and in our case, there was no shortage of that. The prosecutorial misconduct alone would make any American's stomach turn. Some of that we'll discuss today, some we'll save for another day, and you'll understand soon why. But before we get into all that, I want to briefly talk about what I went through for merely showing up to a protest to support my then and now sitting President of the United States, President Donald Trump. After watching my friends get hunted down like animals by FBI informants posing as left-wing activists, my house was raided by the Biden regime's FBI, then got my bail denied after being accused or charged with zero violence. The stress caused my then 8-month pregnant wife to go into early labor a month early and almost die due to stress-related pregnancy. Afterwards, I was denied the opportunity to be a father to my daughter at all for the first years of her life because of this. The government was hell-bent on trying to break me numerous times, cutting off my military VA benefits long before I was even convicted, then suing my wife the summer of election for $95,000 in paid benefits, over $30,000 of which was interest that the government tacked on. They weren't trying to recoup lost funds. They were trying to acquire my home in the middle of the election season with the hopes that my wife and daughters would be kicked out on the street and I would break down and offer to become a witness against President Trump so the harassment stops. This included getting my bank accounts, auto insurance, various other accounts closed on me while I was in prison that affected my wife more than anything. What they did was disgusting. Not only for me, but for my family as well. and should never happen to another American again. I sat in solitary confinement for much of this time as well, just like Mr. Biggs and many other gentlemen and some ladies here as well today. I want to say we endured this all for our country and President Trump, because we were innocent and we're not going to throw another innocent man under the bus, that man being President Trump. This is all unacceptable. We want to set a precedent in our country that makes our government never want to act in this matter again towards another American.
Amen.
And that's why we're here today, to discuss our plans moving forward and how we can accomplish that goal. Thank you for your time.
God bless. Guys, that was Proud Boy Zach Rehl. That was Proud Boy Zach Rehl.
Thank you guys for your time. My name is Robert Abraham Morse. I just want to take a second to thank you guys for actually wanting to hear us out. You know, for the last 4 years, you guys have been spoon-fed narratives of who we are. You've never had a chance to actually get to know us. We're fathers, we're sons, we're business owners, we're parents. We've had our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honors destroyed. And you guys think we're terrorists because of the lies that you were spoon-fed, so I appreciate you guys taking the time to hear us out. I want you guys to consider something. Way back when our country used to stand for something, John Adams, who would later become the second president of the United States, was willing to defend British regulars who shot and killed people during the Boston Massacre in the court of law because he thought and he proved that American jurisprudence was worth it.
Amen.
Because it's always worth it to seek the truth. And what happened here amongst all of us, not just one J6er, but all the J6ers, was we were hung by a kangaroo court who got their lessons from Soviet Russia of how to handle people who disagree with the political narrative that's bought and paid for by the deep state. The judges, the prosecutors, they're all in on it. And we'd like to say that those men and women who were willing to turn a blind eye to the truth made our second president roll in his grave. So I appreciate that you guys are willing to hear us out, because we have a grand story to tell. And it's a story about how we not just have a right to peacefully assemble and protest our government when we know for a fact that the election was stolen, we have a responsibility to do so. Amen. So we're here not just to fix history, but we're also here to confirm from here on out that we're the last political prisoners. Thank you all for your time. God bless you. We love you. We're not going to let you down. Stay tuned, because the best is yet to come. Thank you very much.
Amen. Amen.
All right, well, I guess I could tell you about myself. My name is Robert Morse. I was a Ranger, 2nd Ranger Battalion. I left home at 17, joined the Army, went to Afghanistan 3 times. But the first time I went to Afghanistan, I learned that that wasteland that I was walking through would follow me home if the next generation didn't know how to keep this republic. So at that point in time, I was willing to dedicate my entire adult life to teaching real history, history that we could be proud of. And so at that point in time, I decided I'm not going to re-enlist. I'm going to dedicate my entire adult life to teaching the next generation how to be proud of the country that they're born into. I decided to get my degree in secondary education at Penn State on December 19, 2020. 2 weeks later, I was at the Capitol. And ironically, for the next 6 months, I was in the classroom spending time with students. I was able to fly from Pittsburgh to Reno to Utah and back, but it was only after my arrest did the FBI say that I was a danger to society and that I was a flight risk. And in fact, a year and a half into my incarceration, I finally get to see my evidence, and the FBI is bragging about how they were willing to arrest me on the last day of school because they knew it was going to hurt me more. And that's what this was about. It wasn't about justice. It was about who can we hurt and who can we put down. And then on top of that, it was about who can we intimidate. They don't want you to stand up against a tyrannical government. So they wanted to crush us as a sacrificial lamb. So they say, if you stand up, look at what'll happen. This never should have happened here in America. That's why we were pardoned. It wasn't because Trump was doing a solid for his boys. He's saying that we're done with political prisoners in America, period. If you broke the law, you ought to do the time. But we didn't break a law like domestic terrorists do. Sure, we might have trespassed, but then charge us with trespassing. Don't charge us with betraying our government and our country that we love. Because I fought terrorists. I hunted down Taliban. So to turn around and call me a domestic terrorist not only is a crime, it's un-American. So hopefully from here on out, that changes, not just with Trump, but the next generation that I will teach to love this country and to love our founding fathers, the Constitution, and the God above who delivered us. Thank you very much.
Amen. Amen.
That was Mr. Lego.
So what man means for evil, God can use for good. Just as Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers,
but ended up saving many lives. So too for this country here. What was done to President Trump, the lawfare against him, the lawfare against us, has been used for good. Every time they attacked him, he only got stronger. They tried to disqualify him from being able to run under the 14th Amendment. That's what this was all about. All this was like a massive conspiracy case with President Trump, a massive fake conspiracy case with President Trump as the designated kingpin, Enrique Tarrio and I as his designated lieutenants, and all the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys as the spearhead of this so-called insurrection conspiracy. Complete false garbage. And all the other people in here as rank and file soldiers. All of this complete nonsense. The false narrative was set very early. February 16, 2021, Benny Thompson, member of Congress, the guy who went on the chair of the J6 Select Committee, filed a lawsuit along with other members of Congress suing President Trump, Giuliani, Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, just weeks after the Capitol incident, alleging a conspiracy to disenfranchise black voters by challenging the election as unconstitutional and stolen, and also attacking democracy. That's where the narrative was set. Everything else was a dog and pony show trials, both in the J6 Select Committee, public show trial, and all of our trials were just manufactured show trials to make that true, to arrive at a destination they had already decided on long ago. They knew where they wanted to go. And all of our trials was a way to get there. So that's why they charged Oath Keepers and Proud Boys with seditious conspiracy. The only people charged with that were us, members of our two groups, to make it look like, oh, these two dangerous groups, these violent groups. My organization is made up of military and police officers, firefighters, and EMTs. I was a paratrooper in the Army, disabled veteran. I was a firefighter. About 30% of our guys were law enforcement officers. Some of them were here on Capitol grounds that day helping police officers. But they were not allowed to show that to the jury. Mike Nichols, a New York City Oath Keeper cop, retired, was here. He was asked by Tariq Johnson on that day. That's the black officer that wore a MAGA hat to get through the crowd. He was asked by Tariq Johnson to help get Capitol police officers out of the Capitol. He went inside with him, escorted them out. We couldn't show that video. We couldn't have him testify at our trial because that went against the false narrative that all the Oath Keepers were there to cause violence and they were the most violent organization. Nowhere in our history, we did thousands of security operations all over the country protecting free speech. A lot of times we partnered up with Proud Boys successfully, starting off in Berkeley, twice in downtown Berkeley. No one ever got hurt. None of the guys, none of the people we were protecting got hurt, and no one in the crowd got hurt, and not even Antifa got hurt. Because we use our deterrence alone. Never, not one time has any Oath Keeper punched, kicked, bludgeoned, pepper sprayed, or shot anyone in this country. And yet they call us one of the most violent organizations. It's complete nonsense. These are honorable men who serve their country, many of them combat veterans, like my brothers here, and or retired police officers, very honorable people. But they wanted to demonize us, make it look like this is like you guys buy into it. Half the country, unfortunately, buys into the propaganda about our two groups. That was the whole point of our prosecutions. And that's why I had nothing but speeding tickets as my priors. That's quite a rap sheet, right? And yet I was held in solitary confinement from the day of my arrest, denied pretrial release, all through pretrial. Over a year in solitary confinement. I know Joe Biggs had 2 years in solitary confinement. A lot of other guys here, a long time in solitary. Like Joe said, they're trying to break you, trying to coerce you into confessing to a crime you did not commit. I will never confess to a crime I did not commit. I will never bear false witness against anybody else. That's why I would not turn on President Trump. That's the ultimate goal they wanted. They told Enrique Tarrio, if he were to turn on President Trump, he could go home that day. None of us did that. We stood tall. That's why we're here to stand up for the rest of the guys, like Jeremy Brown and 6 others who are still being held. They got to be freed. Free Jeremy. Thank you very much.
Free Jeremy. Free Jeremy. Get him out there. Hell yeah.
Founder of the Oath Keepers, Stewart Rhodes, that was.
Hey everybody, I'm Don Pizzola, and my shirt is way cooler than Enrique Tarrio's. Anyways, I just want to kind of touch on what Joe Biggs said.
What does it say?
This is why we can't have nice things. So, like Joe said, what we do to our incarcerated people in this country is really bad, and it's something we should all get behind because it affects left and right now. And I made some promises to some good dudes in there that I would try to get the word out. Like Butner, North Carolina, that place is hell on. It's hell personified. Those guys are suffering there. It needs to be looked into. I know we got RFKs on board right now. Maybe he can do something, but I mean, they're abused, they're starved, they're neglected, there's no medical care. They left me with an injury for the whole time I was there. I was in pain for 4 years. I'm just finally now getting better. They told me I had cancer at one point, then they told me I didn't. So it's a joke there. They don't really help you until you're like on your last breath. We need to start treating our people better because there's no rehabilitation. That's why they come out and they reoffend because there's no hope for them. Their lives have been destroyed. Their families have, if they're still around, they want nothing to do with them. They have nothing. They have to go back to crime. Let's not do this to them anymore. Yeah. So I think that's one thing. I mean, so many my brothers that I met in there, they were good dudes. I mean, I met leaders of Bloods, Crips. They got caught up in some stupid stuff, but they're good dudes. And this is what the system's been doing to them forever. None of us paid attention, but it's affected a lot of us. Yep. And we know now. Bro. So I mean, I think as long as we got a voice, we got to do something about it. We got to start helping these guys out, man, because they're suffering.
That's right. Amen.
Right.
Thank you, Dom.
Good job, Dom.
Good job, Dom.
No man left behind.
So I prepared these words beforehand. My name's Enrique Tarrio, and I stand before you today, a man who was held captive in the American justice system for 1,050 days. A number that pales in comparison to the true suffering of those who stand with me here today. We gather at the base of the Capitol building, a place where peaceful protesters were fired upon by the very people sworn to protect us. A place where a spontaneous event was branded as a riot, orchestrated by none other than the government itself. They accused us, the Proud Boys, of planning a coup, a lie perpetrated by the Biden regime to destroy our lives, to silence our voices and to break our spirits. My mother and my wife, they cried. They suffered for 3 years. They felt the weight of the injustice of a regime that sought to break us for nothing more than standing up for what we believe in. They put us in cages, not for a crime, but for political gain. We were tortured, not just in body, but in our spirit. Our families, harassed. Our doors, kicked down. Shattered by men in uniform with no respect for the sanctity of our lives. This had never been done before, not in the history of the justice system and in America as we know it. But this isn't about me, it's about all of us.
Amen. All right.
The men and women who stood up to protest a corrupt election, the men and women who were targeted, persecuted, and imprisoned by a government that sought to erase us. Look around me. Those of us standing in unity, some of us, with world-class military history, had their VA benefits taken away. For some of us, years of our lives were stolen. This was devastating, but what's worse than losing years of your life? Losing your life entirely. Right. This building behind me, the Capitol, is a murder scene. The souls of the brave men and women who gave it all on January 6th, and I'm going to say their names. Ashley Babbitt.
God rest Ashley Babbitt.
Roseanne Boyland.
God bless Roseanne.
Benjamin Phillips.
God bless them.
And Kevin Greason will never be forgotten.
Right.
Despite the sinister intentions of a corrupt system, we will not let their deaths be in vain.
Justice.
We are here today to remember them and to honor them. We will not allow the government to rewrite history. We will not allow them to control the narrative. We will not stand idly by our brothers and sisters are crushed under the weight of tyranny. The government overplayed their hand. They thought we would break. They thought we would fail. But look at us now. My mother, my wife, they suffered for 3 years. And those who made them suffer will pay.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. I'm not talking about violent retribution. I'm talking about something much more powerful. Accountability and the rule of law.
Yep, exactly.
That is why today we are announcing a lawsuit against the DOJ.
Woo! Yeah!
For their murders, their lies, and the endless suffering they have put us through. And make no mistake, we will not be asking the public for funding. With the success of our crypto initiatives and the Proud Coin, we now have the means to fight this battle without relying on anyone else. This is a tool of power, a tool of self-sufficiency, and a tool that will help fund the lawsuit that will bring justice for all. This fight is not only over, it's only begun. We will hold those responsible to account, and we will never stop fighting for the truth, for liberty, and for justice.
Hoorah!
And now, To talk further about the powerful tool that helped us take this fight to the next level, I'd like to invite Ethan Nordine to speak more about the monetary vehicle we've created through the success of the Proudcoin and our innovative approach to crypto. We're no longer bound by the constraints of traditional funding. With this new tool, we have the resources to keep pushing forward and to make sure justice is served. Please join me in welcoming Ethan to share more about this incredible step we have taken for accountability. Thank you.
God bless you, Enrique. You got it, brother.
Proud coin. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for everybody that showed up today, that allowed us to have a voice, first and foremost. I just want to speak not so much about myself, but just about people, not left, right, not the foe or the friend, but people. And that's kind of what we're doing with this Proudcoin. We're really trying to allocate as much relief as we can to those who were directly affected by this travesty. I personally saw a lot of men suffer. I saw a lot of men have their families destroyed. A lot of people fed into the propaganda as far as some of these men's families and had their children taken from them. They've lost their houses, their businesses, everything they had. So they're coming out starting fresh from nothing. And it's an uphill battle still to get a bank account, to get an ID, to enter CPAC. Sometimes we're running into all sorts of problems, and we're working on them one step at a time. We can't take leaps and bounds like we'd like to, but as long as we're moving forward, we're going to be happy with that. Because for 4 years, I sat in federal prison, not able to experience any momentum forward, but just to wait, to be patient and wait for my opportunity to come out here and to seek justice. Everybody touched on the topic pretty thoroughly, so I'll just get right into the coin. What we're going to do, as some of the selected Proud Boys here that went through the torture and the persecution, as well as some of the Lost Boys here, which we'll talk about further in the future, is we're going to allocate 12% of the coins, the Proudcoin, to individuals who are incarcerated during the time for January 6th. To help their families and to help them get on a new start. We're putting this coin and structuring in a way for people to get educated about the future, which we believe crypto is going to be the future as far as currency is concerned. And it's going to allow people to not be so limited to being censored and dropped by, say, payment processing companies and other people who want to remain biased politically. Because again, this isn't about political agendas. This isn't about the left or the right. This is about people. Because at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We the people, we call the shots, not the people up in there. We elect them to represent us, not to censor us or slander us or to put us in prison. So we want to direct individuals who were incarcerated, who were charged with January 6th related charges, who experienced prison time, okay? To Telegram. Please download Telegram. And I'm sorry, 1 second. What was it again? Telegram Proudcoin distribution. Okay, so you're going to go to Proudcoin distribution on Telegram. You're going to put forth your case as to when you were incarcerated, your charges, and we're going to look into getting some coins allocated to you to help you and your family out. And they were going to utilize this coin as well for future projects so people can participate with us moving forward for education purposes and things like that. Help the community out a little bit, entrepreneurs and up-and-coming entrepreneurs as well. Get out of this stagnance of being limited by these politicians and this political bias that we've been suffering from for so long. Again, my name is Ethan Nordine. Just real quick, I spent 4 years in federal prison. I received an 18-year sentence for being nonviolent, for not destroying any property or anything like that, and police officers opening the door for me. And so we do know that Trump has been a huge proponent of crypto as well. So we're hoping that we can eventually come together. Maybe if some of these politicians, senators, congressmen, and maybe even Trump's staff or Trump himself would like to talk to us about the future, that would be fantastic. We're really looking forward to creating avenues in which people can move forward out of this and create something productive for everybody involved, bridge the gap, and move forward as Americans. So that's all I have to say today, you guys. Thank you so much for coming out. God bless you all, and God bless America.
All right. Secretary of Retribution.
There, I got it.
Where was this?
I'm just hanging up here.
All right, here we go. So these guys were nice. My name is Ivan Rehl. I'm the token Green Beret retired, and I'm the token lawyer in the group. So remember that as I speak moving forward today and as we move forward until my passing, okay? So now that I've introduced myself, I want to see how honest you're going to be with us. Who here is from credentialed media? Raise your hand. Who is here from credentialed media? Raise your hand. Those people that have a badge on them.
Okay, calm down, guys. We're still talking.
Those of y'all that have a badge on you are credentialed media. Notice how a majority of them did not raise their hand. They're part of the problem, okay? But we're not going to go there yet. So here's the deal. A lot of people don't understand how these folks were weaponized against. I'm going to break it down for you. And these are the individuals and institutions that are going to be facing the accountability, the justice, the comeuppance, and because my last name starts with an R, Rehl, I prefer the term retribution, okay? So here's how it's gonna work. Article 1 branch of government is consisting of leaders from the bicameral, bipartisan Article 1 branch of government. The reason why they're going to get louder on me is because I know exactly what happened on January 6th at the highest levels. You have failed to investigate it, so I had to step in and do your job in the collective for America, okay? Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, who is the joint session leader, was the one that
I've been to loser with a small dick. I've been to loser with a small dick.
Paul Irving that day. Additionally, she has a very close relationship with the head at that time of the Intel and Interagency Coordination Division. Without going into all the details of who's on my deep state target list, I'm going to summarize and say this. Pelosi is the #1 culprit, along with Jamie Raskin and along with the staff director of the January 6th committee, David Buckley, one of the 51 spies who lied, who used to be the inspector general for John Brennan over at the CIA. Those three individuals and the general counsel of the Capitol Police, Tad Tobias, manipulated the CCTV footage and manipulated false perjurious testimony of U.S. Capitol Police officers, compiled that evidence before sending it to Matt Graves, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. While that was going on, the FBI and DOJ was then adding a layer of their manipulated bias to only include incriminating evidence, inculpatory, that was also manipulated. And then by the time it got to the courtroom, whether it was a judge in a bench trial or the jury pool of DC,
You can hear behind it.
the J6 cover-up committee, I call it the J6 Fedsurrection cover-up committee, already spent 2 years, over 10 hearings, prime time, leveraging you little bitches, all of you, to manipulate the entire country, the jury pool, and the judges, I'm talking about the credentialed press here, to go ahead and make America the jury, DC, and the judges think that these men, real men, patriots, they call them the biggest criminals, the worst people in the history of humanity. Why? Just like Stewart Rhodes just said, just like Enrique said, in order to get to Donald Trump through them, so that the whole world, through you little bitches, would think that these were treasonists, insurrectionists, etc. Well, guess what? What part of Green Beret and lawyer did you fucking miss, Nancy Pelosi? Because you missed a lot. We're gonna go ahead and take this up to Nancy Pelosi. We're gonna take this up to the previous DOJ leadership, to include Matt Graves. We're gonna take it to Merrick Garland, and we're gonna take it to the Article 3 judges through impeachments, okay? So my role as America's Secretary of Retribution is to coordinate the political will and courage across the federal government, with the federal government, whether it's Pam Bondi, whether it's the COVID con with our Bobby Kennedy, or whether it's with the holdings within the Intel community. And Kash Patel as of yesterday, whether they allow me in their office or not, this will be a fight in the court of public opinion to mobilize the citizens and constituents of the 2,500 district attorneys throughout the country, to motivate them to do what the precedent was already set by Fulton Fanny or Alvin Bragg in Manhattan, or whether it's the 27 attorneys general or more throughout the country, to do exactly what Letitia James was trying to do against President Trump. So federal, state, local, and we're gonna use you bitches to our advantage to showcase to the entire country that that was not an insurrection, it was a Fedsurrection. And I speak only for myself, not for any of these men, because I can use a little bit more spicy rhetoric because of the circumstances that played out.
No one was charged with insurrection.
Well, guess what? We're gonna move from, well, let me see here. You had 20 years?
I got 18.
And you had how many?
22. 18.
He has a 22-inch insurrection, and he's got an 18-inch insurrection. And you got a 17-inch insurrection. So guess what? We're gonna expose the Fedsurrection, and we're gonna play you along the way, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan.
Good job, Ivan.
Thank you, Ivan. So in conclusion, I think I have the biggest
Insurrection.
So we're going to open up the floor. Just call any of the 7 and let us know. We're going to start with USA Today.
Have you been in contact with President Trump about any of the initiatives you talked about, like prison reform and things like that? Like, have you had direct conversations with President Trump?
Not directly with the president's office or anybody in the administration, but indirectly by doing things like this, social media and things like that. You know, we're very independent, so that's what we focus on.
Scott Taylor, WLA TV. I want to talk about your lawsuit. How much is it? When are you going to file it? And what are you going to try to prove for your lawsuit?
So those details on the actual lawsuit are going to come very, very soon, within the next 2 weeks.
Well, it's already in a Miami newspaper article, $150 million.
Yes. So, yes, about $150 million, but we haven't focused on exactly what it's going to be, but we will be filing within the next 2 to 3 weeks maximum.
I'll give you a card to stay in contact, and we'll let you know.
Okay. Next.
I have a few questions. First, you mentioned the Proud Coin. How much have you raised in dollar amounts? What's the equivalent?
Well, the Proud Coin, it's a coin that's not. Go ahead. Actually, Ethan, you want to take this question?
What's that?
It's
I have 3, so it's the first of 3. But the question is, how much have you raised via this Proud Coin such that you don't need other resources?
I guess we're not going to go into that right now as far as our legal funds, as far as the...
Can you give us a range at least? Like, are we talking 5 million, 10 million?
No. It's much.
Like we said, we're still getting on our feet, nothing like that at all.
Okay, so it's in its beginning stage.
Yes, it's in the beginning stage.
Got it. So when do you expect to be able to utilize those funds for people?
There's 2 reasons why we started the Proud Coin. One is to distribute it to the January 6ers And number 2 is for also education in the crypto community when it comes to crypto. That's the base, because at the end of the day, it's crypto. So it's not like a dollar amount right now, but again, that's what we're using it for. We're working on also payment system integration with some websites, but it's a project that's ongoing. So as it comes through, then some of the answers to your questions will be able to.
Got it. So another question is, someone mentioned essentially criminal justice reform writ large.
Oh, hell yeah.
So you said basically, this was not something you paid attention to beforehand.
Yes.
Why didn't you? Because people have been talking about criminal justice reform for a long time.
Well,
And now you're preaching the same thing.
Well, I've been about it my whole life.
I've been about people talk about it until they're actually there. Then you know.
One at a time.
So, I will be honest. I was a very privileged person at the time, and for me, I grew up kind of ignorant. The blind's been removed. I grew up thinking that if someone was in jail, they probably deserved to be there, and my family felt the same way, and others that I know. So now that I've gone through this corrupt system and seen what it's like, and had the opportunity to meet a lot of men and women who have been through this system corruptly for years and years and years before me, it broke my heart, and I want to use what platform I have for the time being to help these men get back home, because they deserve it. They've been going through it way longer than us, way harsher, and these men deserve to go home to their families. And I want to do whatever I can to help in any way, and I'm willing to meet with people that already have experience and try to take what I can and mesh with them and work on something. So
and then just to hit on that further, I've been working on criminal justice reform. Obviously, I have a past. I've been working on criminal justice reform since 2014. When I ran for Congress in 2020, it was the #1 initiative that I had on my webpage. It was my #1 concern was criminal justice reform. So this isn't a new thing. This is not just because I went through the system or I learned it. This is something that I've been fighting for a long time.
And then I have one last question.
Last
As we
one.
were walking here, you, sir, Biggs? Is
Yeah,
it?
Joe Biggs.
Thank you. You said you wanted to take the path that you had taken on January 6th, and you actually sort of waved to some of the Capitol Police officers. You guys all cheered USA, USA when they escorted some of the protesters. Well, look, we all saw the videos. I'm not suggesting everyone did bad things, but that same respect was not necessarily afforded to all Capitol Police officers 4 years ago. Why is it different now?
Well,
Why do we cheer them today?
if the trial would have been honest and they would have allowed a lot of the footage out there, you would have seen that's how I acted. I walked up to officers and said hello and spoke to them. I even had them come up to me with their arms crossed in a non-threatening way, saying, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And I go, "Hey, can I go to the restroom?" And they took me over there. It was very non-threatening. I can't speak for the other people there, but I can speak for myself and who I was around. We weren't being assholes. We were being respectful and walked through an open door and then left. Then I came back in to look for a friend that I couldn't find. After unsuccessfully not being able to find him, I left.
Would you then at least say that the actions of others who were fighting against
I can't speak for other people.
I'm not asking you to speak for them. I'm just
Michael
saying
Burns,
that
the police fired on the crowd first. That's the start of the whole thing. The police fired on the crowd.
Yes, and that is true. So when we approached the fence up there, everybody was waving flags. There was nothing going on. But then for some reason, the head of the Capitol Police came out and ordered them to fire into the crowd. Then I saw a giant police officer knock out a female chick. Punch her right in the face. So that inflamed the crowd, and that's what sparked it. The police have to be peacemakers. They have to de-escalate situations, and instead what they did was escalate things. And that is something that I don't understand why.
Shooting people in the face.
Wait. Claire? Next to me, they killed Rose and Boyle. I'll just hold my hand.
All right, next question.
Hey guys, please.
Next.
Just one question yet. Who exactly is suing? Who are the plaintiffs? Do you already have a lawyer?
We do have a lawyer. We'll be announcing that in the coming weeks, but right now it's the 5 of us that are going to be suing the DOJ. And we're also looking into other agencies like the Bureau of Prisons also. But right now we've decided to move forward, and again in the next 2 to 3 weeks we will be filing.
And is Stewart Rhodes also suing?
You would have to ask Stewart.
Stewart, are you also suing?
Are you also suing?
Oh, yes. Yes, I am.
It's the 6 of you
Yeah, I'm
guys.
talking to Mark Bukowski.
Yes. Yeah, so they're different, but yes. I think to be honest with you, I think you're going to see 1,600 people sue the DOJ in one form or another, whether it's class action or personal.
And what would be the charges?
Can you separate the disruptors, please? I will be announcing that soon, and you'll see the filing and read it from there.
Please separate the disruptors, please.
Yeah. How do you want the Proud Boys' role in January 6th to be remembered, and how do you want January 6th itself to be
Only Trump supporters are like.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. How I want it remembered is exactly what we're planning on doing that day. We're planning on enjoying a speech from the president, then go listen to the lead singer of the Misfits do an unplugged session for us, and we're going to drink beer and have a good time. So I want people to know what we were planning that day, because what we weren't planning was to attempt to overthrow the government, because I promise you, if we did plan it, it would have worked.
Are you worried that history books will get it wrong and put it in a different way than you would want?
I'm sorry?
Are you worried that the history books are going to tell it a different way than you would want?
No, I mean,
who cares?
Not anymore. I don't care, because I do things like this, so I talk to you guys. Whether people want to believe us or not, I don't care what history book writes. I'm with my brothers. I'm with this beautiful crowd of J6ers, and that's what's important to me.
Do some real reporting and report the truth.
Let me jump in on this one. Go ahead, The question was, how do you want J6 to be remembered? We want the J6 to be remembered as what occurred that day. What we still have yet to know, and what you guys have failed to do, is discuss what happened at the senior leadership of the Capitol and the decision-making process there. We have a brand new subcommittee that was just created, announced a couple weeks ago by Speaker Mike Johnson, and it's going to be within the Judiciary Committee. The subcommittee chairman of that is going to be Barry Loudermilk, who was on the subcommittee of oversight within House administration for the last Congress. That subcommittee is going to continue to expose that at scale. One other thing I'll mention is that Chief Son, the former Capitol Police Chief, is going to be speaking down at the National Harbor, I believe later today, or maybe he's already speaking right now. All that stuff is going to eventually come out, and it's going to prove everything that I've uncovered to be true, with their communications, with their messages, with their devices, all the decision making. So when you ask yourself that question, when you ask us that question, you need to ask the question, why is the former number 2 of Intel and Interagency Coordination Division, Julie Farnham, all of a sudden applying for dual citizenship and is in the motion of fleeing this country? Why is the attorney for some of these folks, Mark Zayed, is recommending that these folks flee the country? Is it because they didn't do anything, or it's because they were part of the Fedsurrection? We will prove everything.
All right. Anybody else new? Go ahead.
I have a question for Dominic. You referenced the window incident where you had smashed the window. Do you feel that escalated things on January 6th, the act of smashing the window? How do you think that fits into the broader picture of January 6th?
Escalate? No, it was escalated by the police. I was just reacting to. I mean, come on, man! They were throwing everything they had in the crowd of people that were really doing nothing wrong, man. It all started with a couple instigators that were just pushing against the riot shields, and then the orders given to open fire on everyone. That's what instigated.
They shot us.
Guy standing right next to me, a shot in the face, tore half his face off. He's bleeding all over the ground. Yeah, we went there to try to be heard that day, and we were treated like peasants that had no reason to be there and go away. You know, we're just unload on you and shoot at you. No, we wanted to be heard. And you know what? If I broke a window and went in there, we were heard. So,
Amen.
We got anything else?
All right, wait. So also, there's somebody screaming, "Fuck the Proud Boys." I would say that the wives of the Proud Boys would agree. Go ahead.
Quick question. So I want to ask you about how you feel the media contributed to January 6th by telling the world that the Cuban and black and brown members of the Proud Boys and the Proud Boys in general were white supremacists. And secondly, will there be any legal action against in terms of defamation? There's not a single, I couldn't find a single statement or manifesto from the Proud Boys that was racist, anti-Semitic, anti-immigrant. So what do you say about that?
So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that the media, and I don't know exactly who I could point here, but there is a lot of media that has called us white supremacists, fascists, Nazis, and that is not.
What's a Nazi?
violent towards us. You know, so it is dangerous. It's a lie, and it's fucked up.
Hey, the biggest mistake that they made though when they put us in jail was you exposed us to all kinds of people who would normally never meet us, and there were people from Chicago, California, black gangs, Hispanic gangs, all these gangs, and they go, wow, you guys aren't anything like the media says, and now I have the back. These people all have my back. People who would normally just believe what you say when you lie about us, they all see us as kind-hearted, loving people who are amazing, and you messed up. Because now more and more people know we're freaking awesome, and we're going to keep doing it. And everybody in there loved Trump. Hey, when they said that when Trump won, the prison I was at in Talladega, shout out to everybody at the Talladega FCI, they all cheered for me. Everywhere I went, they were cheering and clapping for me every day. They were so proud to know that Trump won and to know that Trump was going to keep his word to get us home. Trump inspired every guy in there, Asian, black, white, it didn't matter. He gave everybody inspiration, and he should inspire you because we're now the greatest country in the world.
Amen. So another part of the question, are we planning to take legal action? We're looking at those options right now at the moment. I'm going to take 2 more questions. Do you, sir?
Do you think former MPD officer Shane Lamont, who had discussions with you, is now convicted? Do you think he should be pardoned?
I'm going to tell you right now, unequivocally, besides the 14 individuals, I'm going to say 13 individuals that need a pardon. Shane Lamont, Lieutenant Shane Lamont, did nothing wrong, and Shane Lamont needs a pardon. 1 more question.
So there are people who are afraid now that you're out there. They're afraid of violence. They're afraid of sex. What do you want to say to them?
I want to say 2 words to those people that are afraid of violence because they're a bunch of liars. Fuck you. That's all I have to go. We got to wrap this up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
You're platforming us. You're platforming
Stop
us.
platforming Nazis!
You're literally platforming us.
Stop platforming Nazis!
You're literally platforming us.
Enrique, you're a bitch! You're a bitch, Enrique! You're a snitch, bitch! You're a snitch, bitch!
I like how she said
Enrique's a snitch, bitch! Enrique's a snitch, bitch! Enrique's a snitch, bitch!
That's a motherfucker.
And I couldn't be
Enrique,
educated.
let's go.